Round one, fight!
What's up, everybody at BW Sports One Nation? This is the Lion, and we are in Combat Zone, and I am here with Quentin, the Hero Henry. Quentin, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Just got done training. About to eat me some food, take me a little rest before I got to go train again tonight, go coach and stuff.
There you go. Yes, you are definitely a busy man. We were talking previously before the show started. You got a lot going on. You got two gyms. You said you got two nutrition based companies down there in Louisiana. Let's before we talk the fights, let's kind of give a shout outs and your plugs for your different things you got going on down there.
Yeah, I've got a Hero Fitness Academy. I've got a jiu-jitsu school in Calhoun, and then I've got my gym in West Monroe is more like striking. We do MMA, stand up, boxing, stuff like that. And then I've got the Hero Fit Nutrition, which is in Calhoun, and Fuel Factory, which is in West Monroe. And they're both Herbalife nutrition shops, all natural, sugar-free, all healthy stuff in there. Meal replacement shakes, energy teas, immune boosters. We got all of it in there. So, yeah, that's what I stay busy with most of the time. Working on a little new project. Got a little Heroes Old Fashioned.
Uh-oh.
My sample bottles coming out. Right.
Uh-oh.
Right. Nice. I got a couple
there
of these.
You
I
go.
gotta send out some samples. Yeah, so I got a buddy with this old fashioned mix I've been trying to get him to go public with for a long time. And I think I finally talked him into it. So we got a sticker on it, threw a label on that bad boy, and we're running out with it. It's the best old fashioned ever had. It's that good.
Well, I'll send you my address after the show, and you can send me a sample, and I'll plug it away.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. No problem.
Right
no
on.
problem.
Well, something that caught my eyes and my ears when I was reading up about you. Speaking of the Hero Fit Nutrition, you did something that was amazing and stood out to me during the COVID. You helped kind of keep the first responders and the health workers going with those drinks. Will you tell us about what you guys did down there?
Yeah, we had teas for nurses, tea drop, what we did. And our energy teas, it's like a healthy Red Bull or a healthy Bang or anything like that, but it's all natural. So, when the pandemic hit, a lot of the nurses were working long hours, and then my wife's an RN, my sister-in-law's an RN, my old in-laws are all nurses. My grandmother was a nurse, but it got to the point where they couldn't leave the hospital to go get stuff. And, and the teas help a lot of people through. It gives you that energy, and they weren't able to come to us. So, we reached out to the community, and we started talking to people about seeing if they would sponsor these tea drops. So we discounted the teas so that people would be able to, afford more of them. And then we, people from the community bought them. We shipped them up, packed them. We took them up there to the nurses. I think we sold we provided about 1,000 teas to all the area hospitals.
Nice.
Throughout. So, just something we could do to try and keep things going. When the Rona hit, it really impacted our sales, and you just got to do things to get out there and bring it to the people. But we were able to help some people at the same time. So, people were chipping in, helping small business while we were helping out first responders. It was just, it was a good thing all around.
Definitely. Like I said, it caught my eyes and my ears when I was reading up on it. And just congratulations on doing something like that. That's amazing. My wife works in healthcare. My sister-in-law works in healthcare. And we saw it firsthand up here in Indianapolis, what was happening over the course of last year and still going on somewhat around certain parts of Indiana. And I'm sure down in the southern states as well. How has that, this past year, you've been in fighting for a while. What was the difference in, your training all through the years, and then all of a sudden last year's 2020 pandemic?
I spent most of my career coaching and competing, so at the same time, while I was always fighting and training myself or trying to get ready, we had to pay bills and have people come in, so you got to coach other people too while you're there. And that really takes a lot away from you, because when you get to the level like this, you need to be having 1, 2, 3 hours a day on just what you're doing. You don't have time to really focus on other people. And, when the pandemic hit, they closed my gyms. So I had no one to train for 3 months, except for myself. And I'd already kind of been, in the mindset where I was setting aside time for me to train more specifically. That was one of the reasons I left the fire department, just to have more regular schedule. And then we worked through, and with the pandemic hit, all I had to do was work out. My wife was at work, my kids were at home. She was still going back and forth, but I'd spend a lot of time with the kids and spend a lot of time with her. And when she was ready for me to get out of her hair, I'd go to the gym. I'd work out for 2 or 3 hours. And when one of my best friends, Josh, we grew up together. He's real big into working out, and we started. His gym closed, so he started training with me, and we just got some more equipment to make my gym more of everything we needed. It was just lacking a couple things. And yeah, that was when the pandemic hit, the transition just changed. The focus kind of went more towards, I was able to just pay attention to me, and more, it was more forced. It wasn't like it was something that I was wanting to do. It was just, when this pandemic hit, everything else was taken. All my other businesses were, tanking, sales were terrible. My gyms were closed. They were bringing in zero income. I'm still having to pay rent. All that stuff was going on. And, but the one thing they couldn't take from me was fighting. And it was the only thing I really had left. And it made me appreciate it more. When I was younger and all I used to do was obsess about training and fighting and stuff. I haven't done that in years. And, I was able to get back into that. And, I feel like, I hit my final form over the pandemic. Really, I was able to train every day. I've been eating right. It was forced also because I was training all year. I had a fight in 3 or 4 weeks all year. Yeah. When's your next fight? Oh, it should be about 3 or 4 weeks. And it gets 2 weeks out and it get pushed back another 3 or 4 weeks, so you stay in training camp mode, all year long. It's almost like you become institutionalized, it's just what you do. So, even I had that last fight in December. By the time I got off, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take a week off and chill just so I can reset or whatever. Well, by Tuesday, I was like depressed. I was like bored. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, man, I was just upset all the time. And I'm like, it was because my routine was off. And I'm like, fuck it, I'll just start training again.
Right.
And, that's what we did. Started training, was working just like I had a fight coming up. I didn't know who we were fighting. I wasn't expecting to fight in February. They kind of dropped that on me, but I was ready anyway. I think, yeah, because like the way I fought, I weighed in at 204, but the morning I weighed in, I was 212. So I cut like 7 pounds of water, easy cut. And then that following Thursday after the fight, I was 205. I just woke up at 205, but it was because when I tried to stop eating right, I got sick and it just wasn't worth it. And I'm like, I'll just keep eating good. And so, I've kind of transitioned to get my weight back to where I'm about 215 right now. But it's just easier to stay on that routine. And, I think a lot of it was, maturity. Kind of grew up a little bit with a lot of stuff, and being stuck, forced into having that routine kind of just keeping me from being able to get out of it. But it's all working out, it seems like it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was a blessing in disguise, so to speak, as far as getting you in the gym and getting that habit done, because they say, within 21 days you can form or break a habit, and it seems like that did well for you. Now, kind of going back before the bare knuckle fights, you obviously had about 18 fights in MMA before that, I think. Like 11-6 or 12-6.
That was 12.
Roughly.
I was 12-6 as a pro, and I was 12-2 as an amateur.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you transition from MMA to bare knuckle fighting?
It wasn't much. It wasn't so much of a transition. It was just I'd retired from MMA.
Okay.
I had spent my whole life training MMA. I love it, love the sport, and it just changed to me. And I got to the point where I didn't enjoy it anymore for whatever reason. I had what's crazy though, one of the biggest impacts that I had in my career, I guess. I just figured this out yesterday. Okay, so I fought this guy like 3 years ago in the main event. It was Nolan Norwood, tough fighter, tough guy, and I was fighting him and he won the fight. And I hadn't watched the fight since it happened until yesterday. It was the first day that I'd ever watched it. I thought that fight only lasted 30 seconds. I thought we came out, touched gloves. I hit him. He threw a kick, and then he caught me with the left hand, and I tried to take him down or something. And next thing I know, I was choked out. That fight lasted 4 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. So like I'm watching this fight yesterday, and I'm like, when did any of this happen? And I was winning the fight. I was doing really well. Um, I wasn't like dominating, but I was, it was a good fight. It was going good. And he just caught me with a good left hand, and I had my hand down. And man, that completely erased all my memory of what happened. And that hurt me a lot, but because in my mind, I just shit the bed.
Yeah.
In my mind, I came out here and I looked half-assed. I didn't do nothing, and this dude, made me look like a punk. And that really wasn't the case. But I took that so hard that it made me quit fighting. And that's funny how that works out. It's like you're talking about people have blessings and stuff. It's like everything's a blessing. You just don't always see why or in what way. So had I watched that film and looked back at it, I would have looked and been like, "Damn, man, I was doing good." He threw a good left when I had my hand down. I should have had my hand up, and
Right.
I wouldn't have taken that hard at all. It would have been like, "Damn, I can lose that way. I'm completely okay with losing like that." But losing the way I thought that I did, um, I couldn't live with that. And that was one of the things that really, and there were a lot of other things, but that had a big impact on it. But the sport in itself had changed so much to where, and I don't know if you've been to any of the bare knuckle fights or you're been in the back when any of the bare knuckle fights, but the vibe and the feel that you have when you're at these shows now is what MMA used to feel like when I started.
Okay.
If
Like
that
in the
makes any
mid
sense.
2000s.
Because right back in the day when MMA and UFC started, and what's going on right now with bare knuckle is we all realize that this is bigger than ourselves. And in MMA, that's not the case. In MMA, the fighter is always bigger than the sport. So you've got guys like Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor's an amazing fighter. I won't say anything other than that. But they're willing to put themselves ahead of the sport at no matter the cost to the sport. And I spent my entire life, I'm a firefighter. I was a firefighter forever and did a lot of things like that. And I got stereotyped, and I guess you typecast into this that I'm a crazy person. When people would hear that I'm a cage fighter, it's just people don't want to talk to you. I mean, there were jobs I wouldn't get hired for because I was a cage fighter. Like I almost didn't get hired at the fire department because they actually sat me down in an interview and said, if something goes down and this and that, you can't be fighting nobody. They asked me that in an interview, and I said,
That's
"Yeah, man, I'm a grown up. I understand we don't hit. You know what I
right.
mean? Like I was told that my whole life. Like
Yeah.
I said, if anything, I'm the last guy you got to worry about getting in a fight because I don't need to prove to any of y'all that I can beat you up. I was like, I already know I
Exactly.
do. I can. I said, so really, what's the point in it? I was like, if somebody gets hit by me, it's because they made a mistake. Like, don't be, I'm the last person you're gonna have that problem with. But I put it, how people treat pit bulls. A pit bull is capable of great harm, but it depends on how it was raised.
Yep.
Well, because of the way that fighters are in MMA now, every fighter, if you're associated with the sport, you're treated like a pit bull. You know, instantly it's like, you know, you don't get that welcoming. I don't even like telling people that I'm a cage fighter when I first meet them. I usually like wait for them to ask or it to come up, you know, that way
Right.
they actually take a chance to know me first.
Right.
You know, but Bare Knuckle still has that. You know, a lot of the guys are, you know, we're still prideful in just the sport. And yeah, we want to do better and we want to make it up, but I think there's a lot of us that want to do it the right way. You know, you got a couple guys who've had one or two fights and fought some bums, and they're like, "I want a title fight." You know, I'm calling so and so out. Be like, "This ain't the WWE," and I
Right.
need y'all to stop trying to make it the WWE because I'm gonna fist fight you. You know, like that's the guys I want to fight. Those guys who are trying to destroy what I love, I want to fight them. You know, so you
Yep.
know if I can take them out, whether I get a belt or not, doesn't matter. You know, as long as I can save the sport from the evildoers. That's what
I
I'm here
love
for.
that. I love that because honestly, I know wholeheartedly what you meant by all that. You know, I wasn't a pro. I did jump in the cage a few times. Wasn't that great, I'll admit, but I also wasn't in shape. Probably shouldn't have been there, but I had fun because I couldn't play football anymore, so that's what I went. And you saw the progression, or should I say the degression, especially around the local regional scene here in the Midwest, because it went from, you know, people actually wanted to do it and get in the sport and handled it to, like you said, a WWE entertainment type deal. And that's why you can't find regional action as much as you used to be able to. I don't know how it is down
Yeah, and
south.
yeah, it takes a hit. There's very few MMA promotions in my state in general, and I think just in the area. But the promoters that work for these, you know, and I'm not saying they're bad people or whatever, but it's just the way the business works.
Yeah.
Especially here in Louisiana, is that all the promoters are trying to take each other out. And
Hmm.
instead of trying to work with each other, you know, it gets to where, oh, well, you can only fight on my shows. You can't go fight, you know, down on this other show. Or, you
Hmm.
know, it might be, well, I have a fight scheduled, you know, or like one promoter will schedule a fight on a certain day and then the next promoter will do it the next weekend. And it's like, damn, you're killing everybody, you know, like
Yep.
you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. And you know, there was a lot of that going on, and yeah, I just don't have to deal with it anymore. Now and the thing about bare knuckle is you just show up and fist fight a lot of times, and that's all I want to do. That's all I plan to do. You know, I train to for myself. I train for my mental, you know, health to keep
Hmm.
moving, and I'm never going to stop training. I compete just because I can. That's it. I've There's no reason for me at 31 years old and in my prime to not be competing.
Right.
You know, it's not to prove a point. It's not to do anything else. It's the fact that I train. I might as well be out there trying to see what I can do with it. And you know, yeah, I do want a gold. I want a belt. I want championship titles and stuff. That's my goal. But that's not why you should be training. You should be
Right.
training for yourself.
Yep.
That's icing on the cake. You know, people are like talking about, oh, you finally made it. It's like, bro, I made it a long time ago. You know, as far as when it comes to, you know, having people that I care about, and then, you know, a group of people that I get to train with, and you know, I've got so much extended family, like in that sense, that
Hmm.
you know, that's why you do martial arts and stuff. It's so, you know, all this is just extra. So you know, I'm eating it up.
And I don't blame you because let's talk about that fight in December against Jason Fan. If somebody blinked, they may have missed it because it was 25 seconds. And I actually covered the fights that night
Right.
from here, obviously. I did a blog on the website. So we're sitting there and I'm watching the fight, and he looks like he's trying to work around your footwork. And he tries to come in, and all of a sudden you throw that left in there and just lights out. And that was it. How did that? I mean, and I believe that was your first fight in bare knuckle fighting championship, correct?
No, that was my second.
Second, okay.
Yeah.
You had one back in what, last February before that?
No, it was August of 2007. I don't know, 2018 maybe, August
Okay,
2018.
okay. So you took
It
a
was. It was
little break
before the
there,
Corona and all that hit.
right?
Well, yeah, I had it in August. I had that fight. They wanted me to come back in November, but I had 21 tumors removed the first week of November or something. I had that surgery, so that put me off until February to fight again, and then
Okay,
that one fell through, and after that, it was one after another with the
Right.
Corona and all.
And then they finally got it set for last December. You got your hand raised. Now all of a sudden we're going into February, and you're taking on the crippler, Chris Leben, that we talked about. Everybody knows from the UFC and previous altercations that he had on the shows and this, that, and the other. Now he obviously has changed a little bit. You talked about growing up. That happens, that maturity. I saw the quote from you on somebody else's show, and I can't remember which one. But I'll quote, I would be disrespectful. It would be disrespectful for me to hold back. I will give Chris Leben a glorious death. Explain that. Elaborate to the BW Sports One world what you meant by that, because a lot of people may see it as disrespectful, but I see it as being very respectful in your words and what you said.
Yeah, I think they cut the quote a little short. I think I had said, I'll give him an honorable death, and I'm ready for one too. But
Right.
it was more, there's a certain type of fighter that you have out there, and I think Chris is probably the things that I've been saying about how MMA's changed and all the things compared to where it was when he first started. I think, strangely enough, me and him are a lot more similar than I think he believes, but. He's been through that, and he sees that, and it's kind of the same way that I do. And the pleasure that we get out of Bare Knuckle is that it's about going out there and fighting, and that's what he's looking for. I don't feel like, a lot of times people call you out or they want to fight you. You take it as like a disrespectful thing, but in my case, no one called me out, and no one wanted to fight me. I had, after every one of these bare knuckle events, every time you got a guy that wins, this happens. Well, then everybody and their mama's on Instagram wanting a shot at him next. I went out there and put these dick beaters on old boy, and he couldn't get up anymore, and didn't nobody want to say my name. And I understand why. I'm not mad at him for it. I just thought it was kind of funny. So, when somebody like Chris Leben comes at you to fight you or asks to fight you, he's not asking to fight me because he thinks he can beat me. He's asking to fight me because he knows if he loses, there's no damn shame in it. And he wants a real fight. And that's the same thing when I'm fighting him. I feel like I'm a way more technical boxer than he is. But at the same time, what he has, he's really good at. And that's why he's been able to do this for so long. But the best thing that the dude has is he wants to fight. And that's why he picked me. He might say otherwise, but he picked me to fight me because no one else wanted to fight me, and he wanted to say that he did. And I get down with that. I'm about that life. So that's what he wants. I want to give him that. And I've been a huge fan of him. My whole life since he came Ultimate Fighter. Like we were saying earlier, one of the things about Chris is that he was one of the first fighters that you felt like was real. There were a lot of guys that were trying to put on a show and have a little bit of a personality so they could get their character in this. But that dude didn't give a damn
Not at all.
He was Chris Leben, and he did what he was going to do, and he came out there and he fought like he was going to fight. And I think that there was a lot of respect for him in that sense, because that helps you connect to him, because he's a normal guy. Now, I'm a normal guy, you know what I mean? Like, I got kids, I take them to school, I drive around, I wash my own dishes and shit, so being able to connect with somebody like that is a big deal. And, I think, he's going to go out, he wants one more fight, and I think he thinks the way that I do. If it's going to be my last fight, it's going to be a fucking banger. And, if I don't help out with that, then I'm letting everybody down.
I agree wholeheartedly. And that right there is the mindset of a true warrior or a true fighter. They don't want to just fight anybody just because they want to, get a better record against PUDs. Like you said earlier, you two want to fight each other because you guys know that you're two of the top dogs in the division, and you want to see what you got in you. And so does he, obviously. Now, before we let you go, I got a quick section that I'm going to call Rapid Knockout, okay? These 5 questions that I'm going to shoot at you, and it has really nothing to do with MMA, with bare knuckle, with jiu-jitsu, with anything like that. So you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Favorite food?
Lasagna.
I like it. I'm Italian. I love the Italian.
Dude, I make the best lasagna.
Oh man, I promise you, when I make it down south, I'm gonna invite myself over when you have lasagna, because being Italian, I
Dude, I'm
love
firehouse
Italian.
chef. I make this. I got a couple different Italian families. You know, you're Italian. Every Italian family has their own special sauce,
Oh yeah.
and y'all don't tell nobody that secret.
Uh-huh.
So like, I've gotten a couple of them, and I kind of twist it and add it. But yeah,
There you go.
I love
I'm
it.
looking forward to that
Yeah.
then.
Right.
Favorite song or type of music? What do you like listening to?
Man, I really listen to everything. I listen. It depends on what mood I'm in. I'm like right now. I've been listening to a lot of the Black Keys, some Tyler Childers. I like Johnny Cash, Chris Stapleton. Man, yeah, that's been my kick here lately. Been on a lot of that, But I go back and forth. When I'm working out, I listen to some Kevin Gates and Lil Wayne, stuff like that. But so like last night, I was blasting Beethoven when I was sparring. So you never know with me. It's just I just got to feel it when I start hitting the Pandora. I'm like, no, that ain't it. All right, that's it. So you got different frequencies that you work on.
I like it. The plethora of playlist coming from Quentin Henry's playlist. I like it, man. Favorite sport other than fighting? Whether you, I know you played football in high school.
I guess that I'm good at. My favorite sport growing up was basketball. Is probably the sport I was the best at.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, I love basketball. Now I shoot a lot of pool when I'm not fighting. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, my boys will be playing baseball soon. I'll be back into that for long.
There you go. There you go. Now, who's your favorite team? You're a basketball fan. Who's your favorite team?
It was the Mavericks growing up was my favorite team because they were right there. Now I really follow the Pelicans a good bit just because they're from Louisiana. I'm not a bandwagon guy, but I really like Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fan of Steph Curry. Not so much like the Golden State Warriors. I really don't care who wins anymore. I just like there's certain people that I like to watch.
Gotcha.
Steph Curry is probably one of my favorites.
Gotcha.
As with probably everybody else, the dude's just a freak. It's crazy the things he does. 63 points the other day.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Coming off of people talking shit about him, so that was the way to shut him up. Favorite role model growing up, whether it be a personal role model or a sport role model. Who was your favorite role model?
I looked up to my dad a lot. I always trained with him and sparred with him and stuff. I had a lot of good ones growing up. My Pepaw was one of the best guys I ever knew. As far as being respectful and a man of, I guess, honor, type of deal. And sports and stuff, basketball. I was a huge John Stockton, Karl Malone fan. Those were my heroes when I was little as far as basketball went. Steve Nash, huge fan. Boxing, I kept up with a lot of Oscar De La Hoya. I like he was a big one. Roy Jones is probably one of my favorite boxers of all time. Huge Roy Jones fan, but I like me some Iron Mike just as much as everybody else. But
what did you think of that
fight? Roy Jones was probably one of my top fighters.
What did you think of that?
I didn't even get to watch it, man. I just got to see some clips. But everybody told me it was kind of just two old guys sparring. But at the same time, there's a reason that 50-year-olds don't fight professionally anymore.
Right.
People were talking about fighting Mike Tyson and fighting Roy Jones. It's like they're picturing Mike Tyson and Roy Jones when he was 23 years old, killing and decapitating people. It's like your body just don't hold up the same. And for people to have the expectation that they're going to fight each other 30 years past their prime, and it's going to be some awesome banger, you got to take that into account too. But you got to watch it more for the technique and all that than necessarily people just knocking each other out. But I'm glad they did it. I think they raised a good bit of money for it. It's cool to see them get in shape, have a little bit of motivation, and get back and do something. I know Mike Tyson kind of helped him find himself again in training, so that's cool.
Definitely. Last question. Favorite hobby?
Man, I got my garden. I got my chickens. My wife's got a bunch of chickens that she breeds and stuff, and like we
Okay.
get the eggs from it. I say that's probably my most consistent hobby. I like to, go. Chickens don't mess with you. I go out there and feed them, and hang out in my garden, and that's kind of my calm thing to do is just be outside.
Now, do you pull the Rocky Balboa deal and you shut the pigeon or the chicken coop behind you and let one loose and try to catch it?
Oh, bro, I can catch chickens all day. It's the ducks. The ducks are the ones that are hard to catch, bro. They stay low to the ground and they're like, "Rang, rang, rang, rang," and they just move like constant. They're not like a pause. Like a chicken's got like a little bounce. But
Uh-huh.
them ducks, bro, I'm telling you, them ducks are hard to catch.
Straight line, huh? Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Quentin, I appreciate your time again. Thank you for coming on to the Combat Zone at BW Sports One. While we got you real quick, if you got any shout outs to sponsors or anything like that, feel free to lay them out now.
Man, my family, my sponsors, Michael Floyd. I got some sponsors that have come in recently, but I don't exactly know every one of them that it is because they're with my management company. But we'll tag them in all the videos and stuff that we have. But Dr. Traxler, Premier Chiropractic, Fuel Factory, all my shops, my people help me out there, my gym, mainly my coaches and stuff at my gym that are stepping up and helping out so I can go train and do all this other stuff. I wouldn't be able to do that if they weren't helping me with that. My wife helps me out with all my stuff. I got a lot of people that are, supporting me in ways, keeping me focused so I can focus on what I need to do. And, they know who they are. I'm sure I won't forget them. I'll see them today. I'm sure, I got a tight knit group. So, but man, Goat Management, BKFC, Chris Leben for wanting to, give me the opportunity. I'm just excited, man. I'm here. Everybody's got all these questions and what's going on, and I'm just answering them like everybody else type of deal, So, and like I said before, I've accomplished so much, just not necessarily financially or just I've never been number two in the world before or anything, but just outside of fighting that I've gotten from it indirectly. So, I could retire today and be happy with what I've done. So the rest of this is just a little extra.
Well, keep showing us the extra, especially on February 5th, because as a fight fan myself, I can't wait to see you guys go out there and bang each other. So, again, Quentin, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. And we'll be looking at you February 5th down there in Tampa.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Right on.
See
Have
y'all
a good
there.
one, man.
Yes, sir. Hero out.